Close your eyes and imagine the scorching Arabian sun, a relentless orb of fire in a sky bleached of all mercy. Beneath its wrath, the sands of Mecca shimmer like a vast golden furnace, a city pulsating with the chaotic rhythms of idolatry and tribal pride. It is here, in this crucible of heat and heatlessness, that our story begins, not with the king or conqueror, but with a heart that would become the first to be broken for the sake of God, a soul that would etch the very definition of sacrifice into the foundation of a faith yet unborn. This is the story of Sumayyah bint Khayyat, a woman whose name history almost forgot, but whose legacy heaven itself could not ignore. She was not a queen, not a warrior in the traditional sense. She was a slave, owned by the powerful Abu Jahl, and later the wife of Yasir and the mother of Ammar. Her world was defined by boundaries, the boundaries of her social status, the boundaries of tribal loyalty, the boundaries of what a woman in 7th century Arabia could ever hope to be. But faith has a way of erasing all man-made boundaries, of taking the most seemingly insignificant of us and placing us at the very center of a divine revolution. When the first revelations descended upon Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the cave of Hira, a tremor of truth began to spread through the veins of Mecca. Silent and subterranean at first, reaching the ears of those whose hearts were not calloused by the arrogance of power. It reached Sumayyah, Yasir, and Ammar. Imagine the scene, a humble dwelling, the air thick with the day's heat and the weight of a profound secret. Perhaps Ammar returned home, his eyes wide with the light they had never held before, whispering words that seemed to cool the very air. "Mother, father, I have heard something that makes the heart tremble. A man, Al-Amin, the trustworthy, speaks not of our stone gods, but of the one God, the creator of the heavens and the earth." There was no fanfare, no dramatic conversion scene under spotlights, just a quiet, unshakable certainty that settled in their hearts. In the silence of their home, away from the judging eyes of the Qurayshi, they made a pledge not with ink, but with their very beings. They uttered the words that would redefine their existence. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. With those simple words, they stepped out of the shadows of slavery into the light of a different master, a master whose ownership meant true freedom. But this new freedom was a secret flame, and in the dry tinder of Meccan society, it could not remain hidden for long. The news, as it always does, slithered its way through the alleys of Mecca, reaching the ears of the powerful, the guardians of the old order. The Qurayshi were initially amused, then concerned, and finally enraged. How dare these people, and especially these slaves, these powerless ones, challenge the gods of their fathers? The fury of the tribe fell upon the most vulnerable first. The family of Yasir, with no powerful client to protect them, became a prime target, a warning to others who might be tempted by this new call. The persecution began not with a roar, but with a slow, insidious cruelty. They were shunned in the marketplace, denied water from the wells, their meager possessions were trampled. But the true storm broke when the chieftains of the Qurayshi, led by the embodiment of their hatred, Abu Jahl himself, descended upon them. Picture the scene. The family is dragged from their simple home into the blistering open square. The air, already hot, becomes thick with malice. Abu Jahl, his face contorted with a smug, vicious pride, stands before them. "Renounce this madness of Muhammad," he would sneer, his voice dripping with contempt. "Worship Al-Lat and Al-Uzza as you once did, and this ends. You can return to your lives." Sumayyah, though her body was frail and her status insignificant, looked at him with a gaze that held no fear, only a profound, unshakable conviction. Her voice, though perhaps soft, carried a weight that his shouts could not match. "You ask me to return to stones that cannot hear, cannot see, cannot help? I have found the one who hears the whisper of my soul, who sees my suffering, and whose help is my only hope. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger." Each refusal was met with escalating brutality. The whips, made from tough leather, would crack against the tender skin of Yasir, of Ammar, and of Sumayyah. The pain was searing, a fire that licked at their flesh, drawing blood and tears. Yet, amidst the agony, their tongues, parched and swollen, would find the strength to repeat the kalima, the declaration of faith, turning each lash into a testament, each cry into a prayer. The Quranic verses that were being revealed during this time were their solace, though they did not know it was their story being written for eternity. Do people think that they will be left alone because they say, "We believe and will not be tested"? Quran 29:2. And they were tested, beyond what any soul should bear. The Prophet, peace be upon him, his heart aching with the pain greater than any physical wound, would pass by them during their torment. He could not fight their oppressors, not yet, for the command to fight had not come. All he could offer was a promise, a divine promise that pierced through their suffering like a cool, healing balm. Looking at the family of Yasir, his eyes filled with tears of compassion and pride, he would say, "Patience, O family of Yasir, verily your meeting place will be in paradise." Imagine the effect of these words on Sumayyah, her body broken, her strength waning. Paradise, not just an end to pain, but an eternal garden of delight, a meeting with the most merciful. That promise became the anchor of her soul, the light that no darkness of torture could extinguish. The persecution became a daily ritual, a public spectacle designed to break not just their bodies but the spirit of every other weak Muslim watching. The Qurayshi grew increasingly frustrated. Why wouldn't these slaves break? What was this strange power that enabled a woman, an old man, and a youth to endure what strong warriors might not? Abu Jahl's fury festered into a personal vengeance. He became obsessed with Sumayyah, this elderly woman who possessed a courage that mocked his entire world. He tried everything: promises of wealth and freedom, threats of eternal torment, the agony of watching her husband and son suffer. Yet her faith remained an unassailable fortress. Then came the day, a day that will be carved in the annals of time, when Abu Jahl, consumed with impotent rage, decided to make her an example that would echo through the ages. The sun was at its peak, its heat a collaborator in the cruelty. Sumayyah, Yasir, and Ammar were dragged once more to the burning sands. They were weak, their bodies emaciated, their skin a canvas of old scars and fresh wounds. The atmosphere was thick with suspense, a dreadful feeling that something final, something irrevocable was about to happen. Abu Jahl stood over Sumayyah, his shadow falling upon her like a shroud. His voice was low, a venomous hiss. "This is your last chance, Sumayyah. Deny Muhammad, or you will taste the pain worse than death." One can imagine a moment of silence, where the entire world seemed to hold its breath. Sumayyah, summoning a strength that was not her own, lifted her head. Her eyes, though perhaps dimmed by pain, held a light that seemed to see beyond him, beyond the sands of Mecca, into the very court of Allah. She did not shout. She did not curse. She simply affirmed with a clarity that shattered the arrogance of her oppressor, "There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger." It was the final straw. In a fit of demonic rage, Abu Jahl grabbed a spear. The metal tip gleamed in the harsh sunlight. He thrust it into her body. The physical pain must have been excruciating, a final violent assault. But in that ultimate moment, as her lifeblood seeped into the thirsty sand of Mecca, Her soul was already ascending. She did not cry out in agony to the idols of stone. She called out to the Lord of the worlds. With her last breath, her lips, cracked and dry, whispered the name of her beloved, Allah. She became Sumayyah, the martyr. Al-Mustafa, the chosen one, peace be upon him, had spoken the truth. Her meeting place was indeed in paradise. She was the first to give everything, to pour out her life as an offering upon the altar of Tawheed. Her husband, Yasir, soon followed her in martyrdom, unable to survive the torture. Ammar, their beloved son, was forced under unbearable duress to utter words of disbelief to save his life, his heart shattered with guilt, but the merciful Prophet himself consoled